Donald Trump has been having a psychotic meltdown all morning as the losses continue to pile up, losing to Iran, losing in the Supreme Court, throwing the loser America 250 fare, which may be the worst fare I think anybody has ever seen. Let me show you what Donald Trump has been posting this morning, and let me bring the receipts as we always do here on the MeidasTouch Network. Just a reminder, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're almost at 7 million subscribers. Let's get there together. Here's what Donald Trump posted moments ago. Do you think people appreciate what a fantastic job we did in building and operating the great American State Fair at the National Mall, packed with happy people and everybody loving it? Ask yourself this simple question. Do you think that Obama or Sleepy Joe Biden could have done it? The answer is no. This is quite literally the worst fair objectively I think anybody has ever seen, and it could have actually been a great event. So if Donald Trump thinks that this is the best fair ever, when Donald Trump says that he's made America the best country ever, just think of the fair and the reflecting pool as the symbolism of what he's turned the United States into. Then he goes on and says, highest polling numbers ever, even higher than Election Day, November 5th. This despite the fact that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. I don't really think you're using the words this despite the fact that in the right context there. But no, your polling is at an all-time low. You are in the low 30s and heading for the 20s as the American people hate you. Then, as Donald Trump had to finish manipulating had to continue manipulating the markets and had to finish striking Iran to manipulate the markets this weekend, here's what Donald Trump just posted. Iran has requested a meeting. It will take place tomorrow in Doha. It was actually supposed to take place today. Meetings were supposed to take place over the weekend. They were actually supposed to be about Iran's nuclear enrichment, but it's no longer going to be about that. It's going to be about control over the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's red lines that the U.S. needs to stop telling ships to not use the IRGC controlled route because the U.S. keeps violating the MOU. So yes, it has been delayed a few days. Witkoff and Kushner are going to be there, not J.D. Vance, which further just shows that nothing is going to get done, and it just further reflects the fact that you're manipulating the markets, and here he proves it again. WTI crude, $69 and heading down. You may also want to let people know there, Donald, that the American strategic reserves in Cushing, Oklahoma have basically hit tank bottom right now, and as a result, you were forced to surrender in a catastrophic and unlawful war that you shouldn't have been involved in the first place. But as I said, it's not just foreign policy disasters, which I'll get to more of that in a bit. Also, Donald Trump is having a bad day in the Supreme Court mostly. The United States Supreme Court declined to hear Trump's appeal of the $5 million sexual abuse and defamation verdict won by E. Jean Carroll against him. That means that Trump has run out of appeals. We can say with 100% certainty, although we knew this before, that Donald Trump has been adjudicated a sexual predator in that he has been found civilly liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll and for defaming her. The Supreme Court declined to hear Donald Trump's final attempt to get that case reversed. Also, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 ruling, held that states may count mail-in ballots that are postmarked on or before Election Day, even if they arrive afterwards. That pissed Donald Trump off as well, and he said, in light of the tremendous loss in the Supreme Court, we need the Save America Act. And so Donald Trump has refused to sign the housing affordability bill because Trump wants his voter suppression bill to be passed instead of housing affordability because Donald Trump is an authoritarian dictator and a really bad and incompetent one too, although they're all bad and usually incompetent as well. Donald Trump also posted, surprisingly, the Supreme Court declined to review the fake case brought against me by a woman I never met. Yeah, well, a jury of your peers found unanimously that you engaged in sexual assault of E. Jean Carroll. It's not a fake case. And by the way, you saying that gives E. Jean Carroll another defamation case against you if she so chooses. And she has the ability to file a lawsuit just based on that post alone, because you are defaming her and saying that she is a liar and brings fake cases against you when you've now been adjudicated at the highest level to be a sexual predator. And just pull back for a second, folks. Pull back for a second, because we should not forget that the sicko in the Oval Office who's out there destroying everything is indeed an adjudicated sexual predator. That should be disqualifying without me even having to say it. Should also be noted that the Supreme Court ruled against Donald Trump's position, where Trump wanted to immediately fire the Federal Reserve Board Governor, Lisa Cook. The Supreme Court prevents Trump from firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook. It's a 5-4 vote. This is what was in the ruling. The majority ruling was written by Justice Roberts. He writes, the founders knew from experience the calamities that could arise from even the suspicion of political manipulation of monetary policy. There was a bad ruling, though, today as well in the Supreme Court, which overturned the Humphreys executor case, which would allow the president, unfortunately in this case Donald Trump, to fire the heads of agencies in all other agencies and departments, just not the Federal Reserve. That has a carve out under the Lisa Cook case right here. And the Supreme Court says the Federal Reserve is different based on its history. Now, Donald Trump wants to constantly attack Obama and Biden. Well, no one's showing up to your state fair, which is the lightest lift to make the state fair a special event, right? Tickets to the Obama Presidential Center are all sold out through November and probably later at this point. You know, it's interesting, though, to watch how state regime media, the same way they try to pump the Melania movie, because they're regime news, they're state regime media, right? The way they're trying to pump this state fair, and nobody who wants to go to a state fair being run by a sexual predator and somebody who is destroying the country and who's turned it into like a weird thing, and who refers to musical performers who are concerned about being there as, quote, libtards. Like who wants, the American people don't want to be at an event like this. And it's also just looks bad. There's nothing there. There's price gouging. It's gross. But here's how they keep on pushing it on state regime media. And as Aaron Rupert said, did the rapture happen overnight? It's completely empty here, which we've always been seeing. But Donald Trump says this is the greatest, most highly energetic event, and Obama and Biden could not do such a great event. Here, play this clip.
So yes, it's typically hot in the summer, but it's not this hot in the summer. That's it from here for me. But a guy who knows all about places that are hot, Lawrence, LJ, you're over in Texas, I think, where it's always hot out there.
I was born in heat, and that's Texas.
Yeah, you
were.
All
right, Adam, thank you so much. All right, so we're right in front of the Texas tent. This is where everything big happens. All right, if you look over there, there's a rodeo. You're going to get cattle. You're going to get horses, and that's all from Texas. But I want y'all to meet a special friend. You know her well. Let's go. This is the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rhodes.
Goodness,
my
welcome
friend
to
from
Texas.
a long time. It's good to be back home.
Yeah.
I actually feel bad right here for this U.S. Marine Band, the quartet who's being used by the Trump regime to try to attract people to this fair. But Fox will regime media gonna regime media. Here, play this clip. So then they bring on, CNBC's basically become regime media adjacent at this point. It's sad. They bring on Kevin Hassett. Kevin Hassett, Trump's national economic advisor. This guy's been wrong about everything his entire life, Hassett. Like, he's literally known as like he's saying the economy is about to boom, and then that's like when the .com crash happens, like the right before the Great Recession. Now you need to get in. I mean, this guy's the worst. So he goes on CNBC though, and he goes, "What this weekend shows us is that Iran should never test the resolve of Donald J. Trump." What are you even talking about? Iran has made it clear that if vessels and tankers and cargo ships use the Oman route, they will be hit. Then when the United States struck Iran, Iran struck back and hit American military bases in Bahrain and in Kuwait. And then Donald Trump's like, "Oh crap, the futures market's about to open. It's Sunday at 2 p.m. What am I going to do?" Or 5 p.m. on the East Coast. "I got to call Barack Ravid at Axios and say, we're going to Doha and we're going to Switzerland, or we're doing all these things and we're going to be meeting with Iran. Things are very productive again." The American people know your market manipulation. We know that you do the strikes Friday after the market closed. On Sunday, you go to Barack Ravid at Axios or whoever your preferred reporter is and say, "We're doing talks," and you manipulate the market while you're screwing the American people. Here's what Hassett has to say. Play this clip.
My view is that what's going to happen between now and the 60-day memorandum of understanding discussion is that they'll be testing the resolve of the president now and then, and nobody should ever try to test the resolve of Donald Trump. And there was a little bit of a test this week, and of course he delivered a pushback that has the back of the table. And the bottom line, the macro picture is that the straits are going to be open, Iran's not going to have a nuclear weapon, and the global oil market is going to be safer, and there's going to be more oil than you've ever seen before, and risk premia in the Middle East will go down because of the peace that President Trump has negotiated.
Well, it's interesting too. Hassett says nobody should try our resolve. Okay, because this morning Israel launched attacks on Syria. Also, it further launched attacks in southern Lebanon. And Israel Defense Minister Israel Katz, that's the guy's name. His name is Israel Katz from Israel, said in a briefing to military reporters moments ago, Trump is preventing Hezbollah's collapse. Trump linked Iran to Lebanon because he wanted to close the deal with Tehran, with Iran. Israel's defense minister says, "I inform the commanders of CENTCOM we will not withdraw from the security zones in Gaza, in Syria, in Lebanon. Iran has not yet decided whether to return to the nuclear program." And then Israel's defense minister, I'm quoting him, says, "The fighting with Iran will resume, either because Trump decides negotiations are exhausted or because Iran fires on Israel. If Iran attacks, there will be the third Iran war." So this morning, Syria had to condemn Israeli incursions and shelling in the southern governance area, calling it a violation of their sovereignty. Not only Israel striking in Lebanon, in Syria as well. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara, who used to go by al-Jilani when he was the leader of al-Qaeda, he says, "Israeli entity which has always accustomed us to targeting our stability and creating discord among us since the overthrow of the now defunct regime, is now seeking once again to turn our pure land into an arena of chaos." So Donald Trump, you can manipulate the market, but the MeidasTouch viewers, we see the geopolitical landscape right now, and we know that you've made things more unstable than ever before. Iran's deputy foreign minister, Kazem Garibati, just posted that the first meeting of the Hormuz Joint Committee was held today in Muscat, Oman, with Oman's foreign affairs minister, where the two reviewed current issues in the strait, discussed its future management as outlined in paragraph 5 of the MOU, briefly turning our attention to Venezuela for a moment, where there was outrage after a video emerged, but this is what's going on in the ground, that Venezuela's feared interior minister, Diosdado Cabello was basically, this is, they frame it as blocking U.S. rescue delegation from helping Venezuelans. But the reality is that this guy's Delcy Rodriguez is enforcer. And the people of Venezuela are like, we need earthquake relief right now. And the U.S. has taken like $5 billion of our oil already. It hasn't helped Americans at all one bit. Americans aren't feeling, yay, we got it. Who the hell even knows where that money is going? Now you want to give us $100 million, but it seems that money's going to Delcy and it's going to Diosdado Cabello and not the people. And so the people of Venezuela are like, what the heck is going on here? But you have White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. This is going to be their plan heading into the midterms, which is just to say, but the Democrats are radical extremists. They're communists, everybody. Yes, we're not signing affordability bills. And yes, we screwed you over. And yes, we promised to bring down prices, but prices are higher. But communism, we're going to scare you and divide you. Communism. Here, play this clip.
After his election, the president invited him in to have productive conversations about the future of our country. However, I know the president and many Americans are extremely concerned how far left the Democrat Party is moving. You see these candidates, this is not your granddaddy's Democrat Party. These are communists. The president is right to call them that. They want to abolish private prisons. They want to abolish the police. They want to abolish private property. These are radical Marxist ideas that have never worked in the history of the world. And
then MAGA Republican Congress members like Randy Fine giving away the whole game. So why is it that you and Trump are not supporting the housing affordability bill? Isn't it a pretty good accomplishment for once? Republicans and Democrats work together, where you have Tim Scott, a MAGA Republican, and Elizabeth Warren finding common ground for housing affordability. And he gives away the game. He's like, yeah, but if Elizabeth Warren likes it and Democrats like it, then we hate it. I didn't come here to do deals. I came here to beat the other side. That's what American people hate about MAGA right now and hate about Trump. It's that attitude right there, dividing us. Play this clip.
Here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, my issue was if Elizabeth Warren thinks a bill is great, then it probably isn't. And that's sort of how I look. But the enthusiasm with which Democrats had for this bill got me spooked. And I didn't come to Washington to work with Democrats. I came to Washington to beat them. So that was where I was. As for the president, he'll do what he thinks is best, and I trust his judgment. I certainly hope if he chooses to veto the bill, Republicans will not choose to override him. And certainly I won't be one of those doing that.
So I get it.
Because you know what? They can say all they want about people like Zoran Mamdani in New York, but I see joy. Here's New York City Mayor Mamdani marching in his first Pride Parade in New York City. Let's play it. They want to hate on Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. Watch Prime Minister Carney, amongst the people in Canada at the Toronto Pride Parade there. Let's play it. And then I'll leave everybody with this note right here. A MeidasTouch supporter, Cindy, writes the following. I am a 3-time Trump voter, Republican from Ohio. I'm so grateful for your channel. He needs to be immediately removed from office. I'm so scared for our nation right now. There is no joy in his demise, only extreme concern for all of us in this nation. We have to make sure all of us listen to people like Cindy and understand that the pain, the suffering, the fear is real right now. It's not a talking point, okay? And the American people see this corruption. They see the pain and psychological torture that Trump is causing. And what we need to do is listen, and we need to fight for the people. What's most important. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.